Hailing from the great cold state of Alaska, I am the Frozen Gamer 87, and welcome to the return of Dads in Gaming, where I interview fellow dads who are not only gamers, but content creators. That content may be gaming related, or maybe something else entirely, but every one of these gentlemen are passionate both about video games and being dads. Joining me today for the 8th Dads in Gaming is yet another very special guest. He is the man who, if the degree existed, could teach a master's level course in video game photography, and is sometimes known as Il Gametographer. He is part of multiple podcasts, TikTok, and is a streamer on Twitch. The Bad Gamer Elite, Mr. Lem Fillyaw. How are you doing today, Lem?
Wow, that's a lot. I'm doing okay. That's a decent complete bio. I appreciate that.
Well, considering the fact that apart from the Discord and the face-to-face meeting we had at 500, I barely knew about your content. I just know you mostly from Discord and being part of the same community.
Yeah,
I did the best I could, given what I was given. So
that was good. Especially since I don't answer till last minute on a lot of things, because ADHD and doing a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah,
so.
Absolutely, totally understand. Well, before we get into the main part of the interview, first of all, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's I have to say that I'm hydrated and caffeinated and upright. So
all good things. And what games are you currently playing?
Oh, okay. I'm playing a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I would say that right now my mainstays that I'm playing are Guild Wars 2,
mm-hmm.
Honkai Star Rail,
mm-hmm.
Overwatch 2,
mm-hmm.
and Fortnite.
Okay.
And also I've just started Stardew Valley.
All right. Very cool.
I think that covers a lot of the game time. Now I'm playing other things too.
Yeah.
I just started for the first time Final Fantasy VII, the remake. It's my first time playing that.
Nice. Very nice.
And Scarlet Nexus.
Okay. Very cool. With Final Fantasy VII remake, so I'm assuming you played the original Final Fantasy VII, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No, this is my first foray into anything Final Fantasy VII.
Hey, that works. Well, remake is a great game. I personally like both 7 and remake for different reasons, but remake was a fantastic game. I thoroughly loved it. Did 100% on that one. I have not played Rebirth yet because I'm still waiting for the PC version, but nevertheless.
Yeah. I keep hearing how great 7 is, and
mm-hmm.
I don't think my brain can handle the old school PS1 graphics.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, all you have to do is mod it. Just mod it, and then it's a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still relatively PS1 graphics, but you can at least get it widescreen. You can get 60 frames per second. You can get it so that the character models are the same throughout, instead of sometimes being chibi and other times being, full adult size.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll stick with remake.
That's fair enough. Totally understand. Very cool.
Oh, man. Yeah.
All right. Well, Lem, you are a part of multiple podcasts. You stream. You have your own TikTok. What are each of these about? And specifically just for people who are not really familiar with them like myself.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I would say that one of my podcasts I do is God, Games, and Geekery. I work for a nonprofit that we focus on bringing hope to the youth of the world. Mm-hmm. And what you've seen in the faith-based community over the years is that video games bad, comic books bad-ish. All these things that make up a lot of our geeky community are bad, and I don't believe that. And there's more than just me that doesn't believe that you have to give up your faith rewind. You don't have to give up your faith so that you can play video games, and you don't have to give up video games so that you can have your faith. Not to get too deep and preachy just yet, but
go for it.
I believe that God wired us all differently, and He wired me and my creative my creative outlet to really enjoy the storytelling and the graphics that are video games. And I know that there's a lot of students that are wired that same way. So if I can help them meet at the crossroads of their geeky passions and their faith, that's where I am. That's what I do. I also, and within that ministry, we have several podcasts. It's all God, Games, and Geekery, but it's Faith and Film and Bible and Books and Christ and Comics. And then just what we call Assemble, where we get all the hosts of those podcasts together and we just chat and we talk. We meet at those crossroads. My TikTok is very different, though. My TikTok is all about the other weird things that I do and I get into. I like a good discussion. So I'll have a who would win option. Like, who would win in a knitting contest between Napoleon Bonaparte and Mahatma Gandhi?
Well, I thought for a second you might say Napoleon Bonaparte and Napoleon Dynamite.
That would be a good one too.
Make like infinity of those at Scott. Yeah.
I got knitting skills and crochet skills, cross stitch skills. But yeah, so I do that, but I also play the banjolele and ukulele on there. I talk about comic books on there. TikTok is my catch-all for all the things that I love to do.
Okay.
I don't have a huge audience on TikTok. I've got 5,000 followers, I think, max on TikTok. But they like what I do. Yeah. And so I just keep doing that. I make up random songs. People give me topics and I make up random songs on the banjolele.
Nice.
Yeah. I also do songs that don't belong on the banjolele. Oh no, sorry. They are now. I have about 100 songs that don't belong on the banjolele. And we turned around with so many people saying, nah, that one actually belongs. So I started searching out songs that belong on the banjolele. That absolutely belong on the banjolele.
So you're going to have to educate me because I mean I am a musician, but I've never heard of a banjolele. I can tell obviously some combination of banjo and ukulele, but what exactly is it? I mean, okay, so it's 4-string.
It is literally 4-string ukulele, but it sounds like a banjo. So
okay.
So if I can play it like I'll give you a little example. Actually, let me grab the ukulele first. Most people know the ukulele. This is probably very out of tune.
Sounds good.
That's the ukulele, right? But banjolele has a little bit of that twang.
Okay.
And that one is a little bit goofier, which is me. I'm a little bit goofier. So I started with ukulele because my wife didn't want me to have a drum set. And she said, I'm not cool enough for guitar. And I said, how about ukulele? She's like, you 1,000% could pull off ukulele.
Absolutely. I mean, and of course, the banjolele, that's just like Lem.
It escalated.
That's Lem.
Yes, it is.
It's like if Lem was an instrument, it would be the banjolele.
It would be the banjolele. I'm learning to play the harmonica.
Okay.
With that nonprofit I work for, we do in the spring, winter and spring, we do these youth retreats, and there was this band that started playing Boom 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 by John Lee Hooker. And I was like, oh, I would love to jam with you guys on the harmonica with that. And they were like, why don't you? I was like, well, I don't know how to play. They said, you've got 3 weeks. Buy yourself a set of harmonicas. And 3 weeks, you're jamming with us on the stage. I said, what? Because I was hosting. I host the youth weekends.
Gotcha.
And the last song of the last youth weekend, I came up and I jammed with them.
Nice.
On the harmonica. So it was really cool.
So I've always been curious about the harmonica because I've never really tried to play one other than maybe picking one up when I was a kid or something. How hard is it to learn compared to other instruments, especially like stringed instruments?
Well, definitely easier than stringed instruments. Okay. 1000%. It's more rhythm than anything. And you are not. The harmonica encompasses who I like to be, how I see myself as. The harmonica, you know it when you hear it, but it is made to back up the rest of the band.
Okay.
So, if I just played the harmonica by itself, I would sound like I need to be putting a cup against some, jailhouse bars. But when you hear it along with the bass and some drums and a little bit of steel guitar, you're like, oh yeah, that's a good harmonica. So yeah, I think that's the big deal. And because the harmonica is just that, it is harmonics in these reeds. I can play, as long as I have the right key, I can play whatever.
Okay.
And I've actually started taking notes. When I hear a song, I'll go through the harmonicas and like, okay, that sounds like a G. No, wait, it's not a G, it's an A. So then I'll do that, and then I'll take notes about that song. Okay, this does this.
Okay.
Fun fact: there are some songs that change key in the middle of it, and that makes it very difficult. Blues Brothers, the movie, the original Blues Brothers. Yeah. Aretha Franklin did a song called "Think," and there is a key change in there that I was not ready for. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't like key changes either. At least not most of the time. Well, I should say because I play the guitar. So if if it's like changing from like G to A or like D to E, things like that, it's fine. But then when it's changing to like E flat or changing to F, anytime I have to change a key and it's not easy to do the fingering because I hate playing flats and I hate playing on sharps, or at least like sharps, as opposed to, technically some of the, the keys that aren't flats are technically sharp keys. Anyway, but like if I'm a backup instrument, then it's like, okay, I can shift my capo, no problem, not a big deal. Right. But if I'm doing it otherwise, it's a pain, especially if it's going, okay, I'm playing D, now I have to play an E flat. If I can change the capo, slap it on one fret, I'm good to go. But if I'm not doing that, then I'm just like, okay, I'm not doing the key change. At least if I can help it.
Think goes from B flat to E and then back to B flat. And the back to B flat, it's so weird. You don't notice it until you play it wrong. Yeah.
So you said from B flat to E and then back to B flat?
Yeah. So like it's it goes, hold on, it goes think. So you gotta think. So it starts there, and then it just hey, and then you go. Then she starts off with. So it works. So it's easy with the harmonica if you know, but if you're just learning, you're like, what key did they just go to?
Especially when I don't think I've ever heard of a song going down steps.
Going it's backwards. So weird.
That is bizarre. I guess technically it could be considered going forwards. It's just that.
Yeah, with the octaves, she went up an octave, but to that E.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like go
that's
all the
Aretha.
way around. Go all the way around. It's like we're starting very close to the end, or a little more than halfway through. Then we're doing a round trip past go, collect $200, and we're back to B flat.
There is some R&B musician listening right now say, "You are so wrong, sir."
Oh,
But that's what I heard. That's what I heard, and it worked when I played it.
yeah. If nobody noticed, then as far as I'm concerned, you're good to go. So.
Yeah. I mean, especially since I was the only one playing and only one here and listening.
Yeah. All right. Well, going further into the origins here, what is the origin of your gamer tag, Bad Gamer Elite, which of course is also related to your Twitch?
Yes. I used to stream for a podcast network called Resd TV, and when I would do things like for Disney Infinity, they had a Disney Infinity program, they had a retro gaming program, and I would come on, and I was Bad Gamer. And through that, I got through that network, I got to know a lot of game reviewers and game testers and developers. And there's one gentleman out in California who said, we need to think about your brand. And it's like, why? It's like, there's a lot of bad gamers out there. There's a ton of bad gamers. Like literally, if you look up the game, not just the concept of a bad gamer. He said the name Bad Gamer is used a lot out there, but you are the best. You are the best at being the worst. You are elite. You are a Bad Gamer Elite. And I was like, okay.
I'll take
it and ran with it. And that's been my tagline is the best at being the worst.
I like it. I like it a lot.
However, I do have some friends in the gametography industry that came to me and said, you're actually pretty good at playing video games. The problem is you play the worst games. So it's not that you're bad at the games you play are bad. So he said it works either way. So it was fun.
Yeah. That's very cool. I like that. It's always fun to hear different origin stories for these names. That's so cool. Well,
that's the one that made me keep it.
For sure. Yeah, I mean it's fantastic. What led you to create content in such a variety of different fields?
Well, when I started with Resd TV, I approached the guys that were doing the Disney Infinity podcast. It's called Inside Infinity. And they had no social media presence. Like absolutely nothing. This is a very, very early in on the Instagram train. And I saw that they had no presence. They had a Instagram feed, but they didn't really do anything with it. There were 3 people following them, and there were 2 guys on the podcast. So I was the 3rd one following. I said, "Look, I know you guys are really focused on the podcast and the YouTube. Would you mind if I'd like to volunteer my time to really head up your Instagram and maybe other socials, but definitely Instagram?" And they said, "Sure," because they didn't know me from Adam, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't know me at all. But what did they have to lose?
Yeah,
it was me and two of the guys that were following that. They said if this guy burns it, we're not losing anything.
Yeah.
You know? So I did. I jumped on that and I started taking photos photos of the Disney Infinity figures, not in the game per se, but of the figures. And then I started taking photos of the game and learning how to manipulate the camera in that game, and then videos highlighting the different characters, their powers. In that game, you could change scenery by placing down one of the RFID chips, and just it was great. It was a great game system, and I started to highlight that for them, and we went from, and this is early Instagram, so numbers on Instagram, if you had 500 followers, you were on your way. Within a month I got us to over 1,000 followers.
Very nice.
By doing that, and it was a lot of fun, and that's what got me started, and that's what got me started realizing that maybe there are other games I can take photos in. So I just started taking other photos, and I went to one of the guys that hosted another podcast, and I said, man, I would love to do a podcast about game photography, but I don't know if anybody's interested. This is very early on. Nobody was doing what most people call virtual photography these days. Nobody, and I call game photography. Nobody is doing that. No, just not a big call for it. But there was a guy who wasn't one of the leads who told me, he said, look, if you like it, I promise you there are 2 other people out there that like what that is. If those 2 people also know 2 other people, you guys are going to find your people. Just keep the content going. So I had a friend that forced me to play this one weird new game called Horizon Zero Dawn. I was going to wait on it, and she was like, no, you're playing it. Because when I streamed, I had a thing that we called Bad Gamer on Demand. If you bought me the game, I would play it. There's been rules that have changed that now, but
I hope so.
Yeah. But yeah, so she bought me the game, I started playing it. We both started doing virtual photography, game photography in the game, and we just started talking about it every week on Res TV. Hey, this is what I found out. Our 8th show in, we had someone on that I was in a gallery at PAX Australia with, because some of my Horizon Zero Dawn stuff was featured at PAX Australia that year, as well as a video that I made. And I invited her on to be a guest. She ended up sticking around for a long time. As in, we were triple digits episodes before she had to take care of her family. So that's where we really got started. That's where it jumped in. So going from the Disney Infinity stuff to Halo to other games that had it, and just putting photos out and seeing that community grow. Now it's an industry. Virtual photography, game photography is an industry. People that started off taking photos in video games through the game systems. I have friends that are either employed by game development companies, or they are what's the independent contracted out to help them develop their photo modes.
Okay.
And we all started off with just, hey, I like Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm going to take some photos.
That is really cool. I had no idea that was all the case. I've tried fumbling my way around photo modes a couple times, and eventually I'm just like, it's not really for me. But I still think it's really cool. Like, occasionally I'll pop into what's the channel on the Married to the Games Discord?
Game photos or photo modes, or
whatever it's called. Occasionally I'll hop in there. I'm just like, oh, that's cool. seeing all the different stuff that you and others put up. Mostly you.
But. Yeah. Yeah, it's 1,000%. I asked for it, and they're like, yeah, sure, why not?
So this is not one of the questions I had listed, but just because it's along the same train, what actually would you say is the favorite game that you've done photography? Game photography.
Ooh, favorite. Ugh.
If you have a favorite.
That's like which one of my kids is favorite. It depends on what we're talking about. What's the favorite that I've done some creative stuff in? Absolutely, positively, Fortnite.
Okay.
I have created whole studios in Fortnite with I believe I have over 500 skins, character skins, and I've created well over. I don't think it would be beyond me for me to say 30 different scenes to take photos of my Fortnite characters in. That's for that creative piece from start to finish. I love Fortnite. I also love to take photos in Overwatch 2. But that's specifically on PC because on the console you have less control over how the camera works. Like just without any mods or anything like that, it's just in-game camera work. I can play the game on the console because I am not a mouse and keyboard guy. But then I can use the replays from Overwatch, and I absolutely love that. And then I say thirdly, probably the one that really made our community come together, the gametography community come together, which was Horizon Zero Dawn. The Horizon series is phenomenal. But for variety, I really do love Fortnite. Fortnite's great.
Okay.
And I think you can see it in the numbers of how many I've taken. I believe that I am almost, if I'm not over 10,000, I'm close to 10,000 in Fortnite.
Wow. And
my next one might be Warframe with 2,000 to 4,000, somewhere in there.
Wow. That's crazy. It's really cool, but it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle that a lot of my friends, when I first started doing it, I would get, why aren't you just playing the game? Because I can take photos in it. Wait, have we not met? Hi, I'm Lem. I've been a photographer for over 25 years. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Recently I have been just playing the game, and then when I see, oh, that would be a great shot, I'll stop. Even in the middle of streams, I'll stop to take photos.
Yeah.
And then I remember how much I love it.
Yeah.
Not last week, but the week before, the week was dedicated to gametography. That's all I did all week. And it felt so good because I hadn't done a lot of it in a long time. It's so fun.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, I didn't realize you had been a photographer before, but that explains the love of it so much more.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been a event and portrait photographer since the late 1900s.
It makes it sound way longer than it actually is. Yeah, that's crazy. That's very cool, though. I love that.
Yeah.
So, how long has it been since? I mean, you kind of mentioned it, but I can't remember if we nailed down specifics as far as how long it has been since you started doing these things. You know, the both. I mean, like the game photography side, the TikTok, the podcasts, the various podcasts that you're a part of.
Yeah. I've been doing, everything kind of started. Oh, good Lord. I want to say I started doing game photography with, again, with Disney Infinity when it came out. Echo, when was Disney Infinity released?
Disney Infinity was released on August 18, 2013, August 23, 2013, and December 9, 2016.
So, 2013 was actually, Echo, when did Halo 2 come out?
Halo 2 was released on May 12, 2020, and was available on PC, Xbox, and Xbox.
Really? 2020 was Halo 2?
No, that was the
No.
that can't be right.
Yeah.
No, because 2021 was when Infinite came out. So
Yeah.
Halo 2, I think that was like, what, 2005, 2004, somewhere around there? 'Cause-
So it would,
Yeah.
it would have been ODST
Okay.
era, or whatever ODST came out. I did do a couple of photos in that, but I really hit my stride in 2013 with Disney Infinity.
Okay. And what about those podcasts? How long have those been going?
Oh, well, God Games and Geekery started, I want to say 5, almost 6 years ago.
Okay.
No, I'll definitely say 5 years ago. Because I went to my boss and I said, hey, I want to do a workshop at one of the youth events. And he said, okay, great. What's it called? And I said, God Games and Geekery. He said, all right, cool. What's it about? And I looked him dead in his face and paused for a second because I couldn't believe he asked me what it's about. I looked at him, I said, God Games and Geekery. I'm so sorry. And he was like, that's fair. Let's go. Let's do it. So it started off as a workshop, and we've been doing short. We start off with 5-minute devotionals, like weekly devotionals, and then we started going monthly but longer, and then we really built into the streaming. I've been streaming on my own channel since 2018.
Okay.
But I was streaming on another channel before that too, probably again 2014, 2015. TikTok, it's only been a few years.
Okay.
I've met some of my most dearest friends there too. I'm not sure if that's proper English, but they
Close enough.
My most dearest friends on TikTok. Folks that get you, they understand you, and even if you come from completely different backgrounds and you don't always agree on everything, you do agree on loving each other and being there for each other and checking in. TikTok's only been a few years, and I've slowed down on TikTok a little bit. I'm probably bringing it back a little bit. I'm going to be trying to get better at YouTube posting as well. I'm really bad at YouTube posting.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you don't do a bunch of other stuff.
This is true. If you narrow it down to where you're going to be, I think that's tough for me, though. That is really tough for me because I want everyone to feel loved. And if that's me being goofy on the banjo-lele or playing harmonica, or if that's me tearing up with Cloud and Tifa, or if that's me, sharing part of my spiritual journey with others, my faith journey with others. I just want everybody to feel loved.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, going more into the gaming side of things, when did you get your start in gaming? On what platform and with what game?
Oi. I remember having an Atari and or ColecoVision, but what really got me, like the one that I can remember vividly, is the Sega Master System.
Okay.
And it was Alex Kidd in Miracle World. That was my first taste of understanding gaming and platforming and realizing how much I hate platforming, but I have to do the thing, and I believe they had Jungle Hunt as well that came with it, and Hang On that came with it. But those are our games, and then we played Zillion and Zillion 2. But I think the one that started me like, okay, I can do this thing. I have to beat this thing. It was for home gaming. Of course we had arcades, and that was always a thing for me anyway. I remember Joust. I loved Joust in the arcade. I loved This is years later, decades even. Marvel versus Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Marvel Infinity game, the fighting game, that was the one I could beat on 1 quarter.
Nice.
Yeah. That was, I want to say that was 2006 or 7? No. 97.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 96, 97. That was in the arcade. Beat that on 1 quarter. I used to work on a photo lab in a mall, and right like 2 doors down was the arcade.
Nice.
So where I spent my lunch.
Yeah, back in the days before gaming handhelds were much of a thing, unless you had a Game Gear, that would have a battery life of about 30 minutes. And
Yes. And now I have an arcade on my phone. On my phone.
yeah.
I can play Honkai Star Rail, and Stardew Valley, and heck, I can log into my PlayStation on my phone. Come on, man. That was back when we were kids. That was unthought. Oh my gosh. Pardon me. 1 second. You want to cut this out. Harold. Okay, you can probably bring this back in. There is. I'm sorry. We just did something. I was very distracted because if I look over here and I look at the camera, there's a lamp, and all day there has been Harold. Hey, cut it. I'm sorry. There's a spider. I hate spiders.
I'm not
afraid
cutting
of
this
spiders.
out. I'm not cutting this out. I'm leaving this out.
I cannot stand spiders. They freak me out. And all day, and the only way I can deal with them is to give them a name. And he has been on my lamp all day. And we had an agreement, sir. You don't move when I look at you, and we're cool. And he's been crawling around now because he thinks I'm occupied. But he's staying up on the lamp. He's staying on the lamp, so I'm okay with that. He's not dropped down from the lamp.
That's good.
He knows if he drops down from the lamp, he's dead.
Yeah, I'm curious. I seem to remember you live up in like Minnesota area,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. So yeah, right in that general vicinity.
Yeah, Great Lakes states.
So, like, what are like the biggest spiders you see around there?
Oh, you see wolf spiders, garden
yeah.
spiders.
Yeah.
You get some pretty big garden spiders.
Yeah, I don't know about the
but
garden.
It's a regular house spider.
Okay, yeah. Because like anytime I'm not entirely used to the wolf spiders. I mean, we have them around here because we didn't have them in Alaska. But every time I see one of those, I'm just like step on it immediately. Go away, because I don't like spiders either.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay. He's sitting there. Okay. Good. Stay there.
Well, getting back into the gaming topic here. So, first of all, I gotta ask because I know you're older than me, but I don't know how old you actually are. So, how old are you?
My standard answer for how old am I say old enough to know better, too young not to care. But I'll let you guess. Actually, first, before I answer, how old did you think I was when we first met?
Well, I honestly had no idea.
Yeah.
And once you said that you had a daughter in her 20s, at least I'm pretty sure that's what you said, then I figured you had to be older than me because I'm not old enough. Well, technically I'm old enough to have a daughter in my 20s. I mean, in her 20s, but just barely. So I'm going to guess 40-ish, 45 maybe.
I will be 50 next year.
Okay, so I guess a little bit young, but you know what they say about well, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to get myself in trouble.
You can't say it, but I can say it. Yes. They say that black don't crack.
Yes.
While you could say it, but only if we weren't recording.
Right, exactly. I'm not getting myself in trouble. No, thank you. It's like,
I am not getting canceled on this one.
I mean, to my whole, like, 2 people who will watch this most likely unless we get people from the community watching it. But yeah, like, no, I'm not taking any chances on that. I mean, yes, in my experience, every person I have known who is significantly older definitely looks way younger than they are. So
Yeah.
that's what I will say. But
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah. Okay, so almost 50. So what do you say to people when they tell you you're too old to be gaming?
I have never been told that. I have never, and I think that's because I try to be my authentic me before people even meet me.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to be able to look at me and say, yep, that tracks.
Yeah.
So I tend to wear brighter colors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I haven't worn a tie in forever.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean I don't dress up. I just don't wear a tie. I don't get that.
Yeah.
However, there are people that question it. They don't say that I'm too old to be gaming because they realize that they're like, that's for kids, right? But then they realize that that's who my heart is dedicated to.
Mm-hmm.
My heart is dedicated to kids and students is what I like to say.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't want to be part of that world, that's fine. But this is a big part of a lot of students' world.
Right.
And this is where I belong. It just so happens that I love being here. But like I said, I don't get a lot of, hey, you're too old for gaming. But if I ever got it, I would ask, what is the right age for gaming?
Yeah.
Because your average gamer, according to I haven't done a more recent study, but I believe it was 2019, 2020 study. Your average gamer is a 35 to 45-year-old woman. Yeah, I know. That's the face I saw. I made when I read the report.
Cell phones, it's probably a big part of why they say
that.
Yep.
But that's the average. That's the average gamer. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I get less of it.
Mm-hmm.
We call my wife in my community. We call my wife anti-gamer. She really, for the longest time, did not like games. She thought it was a waste of time. My kids really liked it. They really like it, and we talked about it before. It's like, well, you enjoy home and garden TV, right? HGTV. You really enjoy it. That's your thing, and you will spend hours watching a show, or like a series of shows. We just happen to be living out our show by controlling the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helped. And most recently, she started playing Unpacking and has really gotten into it. So, which is really cool. I think this is great.
Yeah, that's really very cool. I definitely have known plenty of people who are very much not like, okay, I don't want you playing video game, or I'm sorry. Let me re-say that. I can't talk tonight, but people who are very much that if you talk to them, they look down on people who play video games and they think it's a waste of time and so on and so forth. And then, one of the things that helped a lot, I mean, not that my wife was ever necessarily of that attitude, but that helped a lot, when we first started dating. This was coming up on almost 20 years ago that started, but was just basically kind of explaining how it's very simple. I mean, she's very much into books, and so it was like, okay, yours is very much you're passive, but you're enjoying a story. Mine is I'm enjoying a story, but I'm an active participant in that story.
Right.
And all of that.
One sec. I'm gonna mute myself for a second. I told them we were recording.
Trust me, I understand. My kids are probably much younger than yours, and yeah, it's a challenge. Anyway, moving on here. what would you say are your top 5 games of all time, or
Ooh.
even just right now?
Okay. I don't know. I can't say of all time.
Okay, fair enough.
Because my ADHD goes also it will spread into my gaming. But I can tell you the games that have kept my attention. Fortnite. Not just the battle royale, and not even just the story mode, the save the world mode. Just the whole idea and concept of Fortnite is Ready Player One.
Huh.
Let's take all of these different IPs, all of these different styles of gaming, because in their creative mode, I have seen horror games, I've seen fantasy games, I've seen kind of RPGs, I've seen battle games, I've seen just sets to take photos in. You name the farming sims, tycoon games. Fortnite has everything: racing, music, survival crafting. It has everything except an MMORPG. Not yet.
Not yet.
It's going to be tough for them to be able to do it, but I believe they could.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say Fortnite. Fortnite, absolutely. I was never a mobile gamer. Gaming was on like a mobile phone gamer. Gaming was handheld, like Game Gear, Switch, Steam Deck, or PC or console at home. Never on the phone. There is a game that has grabbed me over the past few months that I've mentioned it already, but Honkai Star Rail? Are you kidding me? I thought I would never play a gacha game, except they got me. I am all in on Honkai Star Rail. It's fun. There's a lot of, I shouldn't say there's a lot of math. If you want there to be math, you've got math. If you want there to be story, there's story. You want there to be, I just want to beat up a bunch of monsters, there's that. There's all kinds of crazy, just amazing stuff in this game. And while I'm almost caught up, well, I am caught up with the main story. The rest of the main, some of the more of the main story comes out next week. But while I'm caught up on that, I still have Ubisoft levels of side quests to do. You know, and I've been playing this game. I haven't only been playing this game since I want to say January. And for a game to hold me that like that on my phone, now granted, you can play it on PC, it is on console, but I've been playing mainly on my phone. Absolutely, positively, I want to give kudos to the Hoyoverse people, because man, Star Rail's got me. Guild Wars 2 is another one that I didn't think it was going to happen. Somebody on my stream suggested Guild Wars 2 for me. I was like, I'm going to try a new game, and 3/4 of my community was like, come play WoW with us. And I was like, I am not paying a monthly fee to play that game. I will play a monthly fee for other games, but not that one. Because MMORPGs was not my thing. I'm not going to do it. And then they said, well, you get to level 30 for free, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that means nothing to me. Like, I'm a solo gamer, and from everything I see, you got to group up a lot on that. That's the call of the MMORPG, right? You group up with your squad. And I love people. I absolutely, but I that wasn't my scene. Somebody came in, they said, well, why don't you try Guild Wars 2? And I said, that's an MMORPG. We just had this discussion. They're like, look, there's a whole first story that you can play for free. And with your play style, you're probably going to get a good 40 hours out of it. And I was like, that's a lot. It's like, no, you don't have to get 40 hours of it. But with your play style, you are going to get 40 hours out of it. Because you're going to see something shiny, and you are going to chase it. And it's going to lead you to another shiny, and you're going to chase it. And you're going to forget about the main story. And then you're going to go back to the main story, and you're going to do a thing. Just trust me. And I said, fine. I started playing Guild Wars 2. God darn it if he wasn't right. I got into that game. I got halfway through the free content. And I looked at my Steam inbox. And the same guy that suggested it, thank you, Ryan, he bought me the first 2 expansions.
Nice.
He's like, looks like you're enjoying it. Here's some expansions. I was like, okay, all right. And I got into the first at the end of the first one, and then I got started into some other pieces of it, and I was having a blast. Oh my gosh, we were weeks into everything on stream, and then saw another alert on my Steam. He bought me the 3rd expansion. I was like, dude, would you let me get through the first 2 first? He's like, you need to have it. It's good. Yeah, he's like, do it. You're gonna love it. And then, as I was in the middle of the first expansion, they announced a 4th expansion, and you could pre-order it. And I ran and grabbed that before he could buy it for me. And I've been having a blast with it. There's only one piece of that whole thing that I don't like. And it's just. And it's an annual event, so I just skip it. When it comes out, I just skip it. I don't play that, and I can play the rest of the game, and not have to do anything in that event. But just so I don't get drawn into it, I skip it because I know how frustrated I get with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, what is that, 3?
I think that was 4, maybe.
So we got Fortnite, Star Rail, Guild Wars.
I thought there was something else. Maybe not.
Of all, again, I think because of this, you could build your own whatever and have fun in it. You could use other people's creations. The Disney Infinity series,
Okay.
I would say is absolutely on my list of best games of all time. And I know I should probably say The Last of Us because I really did enjoy it, but I'm not a downer game guy, and that game is completely full of downers.
Yeah.
There's not very many other games that I can think of that are like, oh my gosh, this has me forever.
Yeah.
Overwatch, I like, but I get frustrated with. I get really frustrated with. I don't like who I am when I play Fortnite. That's why I only play with certain people. I have a whole squad that I play with that will keep me in check. And then one of our students from the God Games and Geekery, she'll come in and play with me and say, hey, keep it in check. Just my frustration.
Yeah.
I don't swear, but people can tell when I'm getting frustrated and angry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. Understandable.
And then one of my other, I guess the last game that I would say is my favorite of all time is, that game was only $5. The game collecting simulator. That's probably one of my favorites.
Understandable. Very understandable. Well, what would you say is the most underrated game you've played?
Underrated. Wow. For the longest time, I only played like the games. Where it was, it's the big game.
Yeah.
there's a game that people say when you say it and they've played it, they're like, "Oh yeah, that is a great game," but you don't hear a lot about it outside of it. And it's called Gris. Some people say Gris.
Oh, yep.
But Gris. As the dad of girls, that's a game that broke me. Absolutely broke me. So yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, I actually played through that one. What was it? My last stack up stream. Yeah, I played through that one. I honestly didn't get it, but
Yeah.
it was probably more just that I didn't get enough of the secrets, and so maybe I didn't get the full ending or something. I'm not sure, but interesting.
Well, what I pulled from it was this is a young lady that's broken. She is hurting, and she's working through whatever it was that hurt her. I don't know what it was. I didn't look up anything, but all I knew is this young lady is broken and hurting, and she's working through it. And at the end, she finally is through it. She finally sees herself. And there are no words in the game.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. It might just be because like my daughter's 5, so
Yeah.
And of course I don't work in youth ministry or anything like you do, so I could see how you could pick that up more easily than I could. But yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I can see that. You say that, and it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a perspective. Like I say, I think part of it was dad of girls and
right.
like you said, working in youth and hearing some of these stories from these students, not just the girls. Some of these guys are just they have to be somebody. There's one young man. He's a senior this year, so I'm not going to see him next year. But he's a senior this year. And he always talks about how he's at this youth conference deal thing, and he gets to open the bottle, and he gets to let stuff out, and he gets to, be there with people, surrounded by people that understand his faith walk. But then when he goes home, he puts the top back on the bottle, and that hurts because all this stuff wants to come out, but he bottles it. And he struggles with that. And I love that kid. Absolutely love that kid. Such a good kid. I see thousands of kids every year. And there's about 4 or 5 out of all the ones that we see around the country that I remember. And I have to see every year if they're there. Because I need to check in on them.
Yeah.
Like, I love them all. But there's just the ones that you connect with.
Right, for sure. It's really cool. Well, going back to games, what game or game series is your favorite?
Ooh, that's tough. It depends on the mood. Game series. Like, again, I think that because of the ADHD, the gamer ADHD for sure, Fortnite is really good for that.
Yeah.
Everything in one spot. Now, I haven't done racing in Fortnite in forever because I'm not a racer. But if I got the I needed this is horrible. If I had the Need for Speed, I wouldn't be playing Need for Speed. I'd be playing Fortnite. I guess my favorites would be depending on the genre. If I need a one catch-all, definitely Fortnite. But if we're talking racing, Burnout. Come on, the Burnout series, the third one. Oh my gosh, absolute killer, absolute killer. If we're talking action adventure. God darn it. I would say Horizon the Horizon series. I really action adventure would be probably the Horizon series.
Okay.
Yeah, RPG. I just this year for my streams, it's been like I came up with a theme for this year, and it's MMO, MMO and JRPG, or RPG. That's the basis for this year. But within that, I'm playing Scarlet Nexus. I'm playing Guild Wars. I'm playing Honkai Star Rail. I'm playing Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, there's just a ton of different games that I'm playing. We played Biomutant a little bit this year.
Okay.
What else did we play? I have everything written because I actually planned out this year for what I was going to play, and what when I was going to play it roughly. But yeah, so Biomutant, Guild Wars, and we did different classes in Guild Wars. So Ranger. I was supposed to play Metro Exodus. No, Metro Redo. I did not. But I'm going to have to because that was part of a redemption for Extra Life.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a lot of different stuff. So we're working on it.
All right. Well, what would you say, or I'm sorry, excuse me. What game or game series was completely off your radar but ended up being something you loved?
Honkai. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that this year. This year, MMORPG was not my thing. JRPGs was not my thing.
Yeah.
At all. But this was the year I was like, okay, because that one came out of nowhere. It was suggested once by a guy that I watch on Twitch. His name is Fate Walker. And he was playing New World. And he talked to me about New World. And I started playing New World, and I was like, I don't like it. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't pay full price for it. But then he was playing this Honkai Star Rail. And then I found somebody else that was playing it. My buddy Zuzu was playing it. And I was like, so I looked at two different people, two different play styles, two different personality types, both loving this game. And I was like, but it's a gacha game, and it's made by the people that made Genshin, and I didn't like Genshin. And both of them were like, yeah, don't worry about that. Try this game. And completely off my radar. Didn't know it existed. Didn't really know what a gacha game was. And now I have okay, I am a nerd. I'm working on my 3rd page of notes for this game. Handwritten notes for this game. Like, hey, what if I combine this person on the team and then this person on the team? Oh, this is how much I'm going to need. I want this new character, well, this old character when it gets rerun, and this is how much of the resources I'm going to need to build them to the tippity top. So I better start farming them out now because they're coming out on Tuesday. I am pre-farming for a character coming out on Tuesday. I think that says something about this game.
Yeah.
That I didn't even think I was going to. I thought, okay, I'll do it. Matter of fact, here's the thing. I did a campaign. I did a stream campaign for that game recently. Not thinking that I was gonna, do any kind of well with it. I did okay. They decided to sponsor some streams, and I did okay. I'm not. I didn't do Ninja Fortnite levels.
Right.
but I did okay. And it was on a game that I was going to be playing anyway.
Yeah.
Which is really great.
So out of curiosity on that one, I mean, I seem to remember that one's like coming to PlayStation and whatnot as well.
It's on PlayStation.
Right. Are you playing with the controller attachment or?
Yes, on PC. On PC, I play with a controller attachment.
Right.
On mobile, I don't. I have a controller attachment. I've got a backbone, but it stays in my travel bag.
Gotcha.
And if I'm upstairs laying in bed, I'm not going to come downstairs and go grab it.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. How are the touch controls? Are they okay?
Oh yeah, touch controls are great. Touch controls are absolutely wonderful. Like occasionally I'll open a menu that I wasn't planning on opening, but that's the nature of just mobile gaming, I think.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you've actually got me pretty curious about it. I'm like, I think whenever they did a trailer for it, for one of the PlayStation showcases or whatever it was, that I was like, oh, that looks interesting. But
it's on PlayStation now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a PlayStation 5, so if I was going to get it, I mean, like, I might try it on my phone just to try it. And then, like, I would probably do it on Steam or something. So play it on Steam Deck,
It's on the Epic Store.
Oh, is it only Epic?
Yeah. Well, I think you can download it from their site. I think.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not on Steam, then I wouldn't get it on PC because I've stayed away from Epic and I intend to keep it that way.
Yeah, fair.
As long as humanly possible.
Yeah, they like there's Honkai Impact 3rd, which you can get on Steam, but that one's more action based, whereas Honkai Star Rail is more turn-based, which I really like for streaming. Yeah. Because turn-based, if a big discussion starts happening, I can just let it sit for a moment.
Yeah, definitely. Makes sense. Okay. All right. Well, of course, this is the dads in gaming, but we haven't talked about the dads aspect of it as much. So let's start transitioning in that direction, starting with what do you actually do for a living? I mean, you kind of touched on this a bit, but maybe go a little more.
Well, I am the promotional marketing specialist for an organization called Life Promotions. It's a faith-based organization. We put on one of the nation's largest Christian music festivals called Life Fest in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And we also do Quake, which is the weekend youth gatherings, retreats, if you will. I always like to say it's kind of like Just Add Water, where the youth leaders, youth pastors, all they have to do is bring their students. We take care of everything. It's like we get bands, amazing worship bands, speakers, workshops, all that stuff. I'm one of the stage hosts. There's one or two cities I don't host in because I'm also in charge of photos and video. So that in those I can't host.
Yeah.
it'd be an issue. But and then there's Dignity Revolution, which is our school program where it's we teach students the value of themselves and to stand up for the value of others. So we have a lot of speakers. We actually have a continuing education program for teachers. And in all of that, my job is promotional marketing. Which means that I put together photos, videos. I have a hand in our social media. So all of that, as well as God, Games, and Geekery, which we talked about a little bit already as well.
All right.
So that's I also have a part-time job. We don't need to talk about it.
Fair enough.
Okay, I'll talk about it a little bit. My part-time job is I'm customer care for a window company.
Okay.
And my job is to go out to folks' homes after we've done the work to do photos and video of that, get their testimony on the thing, put together videos for the marketing team, and then put together videos for the other departments so that they can hear from the customers exactly the situation, what happens.
Okay.
In their eyes. So.
Well, that's cool. Well, connected to this parenting thing and everything else, of course, you are married. And
yes.
How long have you been married?
We have been married 20. What year is this? 2024? 27 years this year.
27 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's kept me around for 31.
All right.
Yeah, she lets me stick around.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean that's great though.
Yeah.
So you're 27. So you said you're 49 right now.
Yep.
So
we've been together for 31 years. Yeah.
So like basically since early college, late high school, somewhere around there.
I had just graduated high school, and she was in her junior going to senior year.
Okay. Well, that's really
So
cool.
Technically high school sweethearts,
Yeah.
but we didn't go to the same high school.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that's high school sweethearts, but at the same time, still, that's fantastic. I mean, it's a very rare thing. I mean, on top of course, getting, being together from a very young age. I mean, basically kids. I mean, for all intents and purposes.
Oh yeah, we were 1,000% kids.
Right. I mean, going from that to now, that's fantastic. That's wonderful to hear. So
yeah, I told my dad, my mom and my dad. I came home from. Okay, there's no other way to say it. I graduated from Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Clown College.
That's right. I forgot that. I mean, they've mentioned that before on like the podcast and stuff on Married to the Games, and I totally forgot that was a real thing. That's awesome.
Yeah. I got home from that and told my parents I met the girl I'm going to marry, and my dad laughed, and like as in it wasn't a haha, that's funny, that's not going to happen. It was just like it's about time. It was one of those things. And I moved from North Carolina to Wisconsin.
That's super cool.
It was a crazy move, man.
Well, how long have you been a dad now?
Been a dad for actually just this past month. I've been a dad for 25 years.
25.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you have one that's 25, and then your others are
22 and 14.
Wow. And
Yep.
I know your oldest, from what I remember you saying, was your daughter.
Yes.
And your other two.
Yeah. My youngest is my son, and we have a they them person in our household. That's what she's going by. But we've called her. We named her Eden when she was born.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how has your experience been as a dad?
Oh, crazy! It is oh my gosh! If somebody would have told me that this is what it was like, I would be like, well, I don't know if I want to do that. And then they would tell me other things, and I'm like, well, looks like I'm doing that. Those are the two modes being a dad. I don't know if I want to do that, and I am definitely doing that. I would say that my kids are freaking amazing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I just saw my oldest. Now it was a charity thing or a fundraising thing, but I just saw my kid walk a catwalk as a model today. Like
Wow.
I saw a video of my kid, and I thought, dang, she's good at that. Like, and not as in, okay, here's I need to say this, not as in, hey, proud dad, but
Yeah.
as in professional photographer who has. When I did portraits and weddings, I was not shooting a portrait or a wedding. I was shooting the cover of your next CD or DVD. That was my goal, was to put a little rock and roll into whatever I did, right?
Yeah.
And as she was doing that, I was like, she's not bad at that. Okay. All right. Good job. And she sings so well. That's not just me saying it. That's me saying, hey, that was a little flat, but everybody else saying, wow, that was so good. And that's me saying she sings really well. My middle kid has such a great logic mind, very logical mind, but has turned that to to this creative business of making plushies, making plush like stuffed animals.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. I'm going to show you. Where's the other one? Okay. I don't know where the other one is. All right. This is going to be so terrible for anybody that's listening. But Father's Day last year, I got a Stitch keychain, handmade Stitch keychain.
That's fantastic.
And this fur is so good, right? But also, for Christmas, you guys, I got a Miles Morales teddy bear. Like, bleeding from the armpits, you know which one it is. Right? This right here, these are not, hey, I found this pattern on the internet and made it. This is, I designed all the patterns, designed everything from scratch, picking out it's weighted. It's so good. That's my middle kid. My middle kid is so good with that. And my son is freaking hilarious. It sickens me how much more funny he is than I am, and I went to school for it. He's freaking funny, and he doesn't realize how funny he is. So yeah, those are my kids. So I'm there for those moments when I'm like, yeah, and then there are those other moments where it's, yeah. And we all have them. We've all done it. And publicly, I want to say to my parents, oh.
You know, it's funny. That game that came out recently, Tales of Kenzera Zao. So there's one part. This isn't anything spoilery, but one of the things you do is you can visit like these sites where you meditate, basically. And he, the main character Zao, is remembering coming there with his father, and that he used to always like whine and complain when they were there and be really annoying. And he said, my father told me, one day you will come here, you will think about how annoying you were, and you will laugh. Or you will feel sorry for me, and you will laugh. And it's just like, yep, that's exactly how it goes with having kids.
Yep, exactly.
And being the kid, and then coming back and you realize what your parents went through, and you're like, I'm sorry.
No, I can never apologize to my dad for it, because he knows that he knows that's my apology.
Yeah, right.
That's early. My dad's awesome.
Yeah.
My dad, my wife says, you are turning into your dad more and more every day, and I say thank you.
I would consider that a badge of honor.
Yeah.
My dad was one of those people that if you didn't get him, then he might rub you the wrong way, but not like in a bad way. Like, to kind of sum up my dad, I think this is the perfect summary of my dad. Every day of the week, he would say, "Happy Monday," because he loved to work. He loved the work he did, and some people, they did not like that.
Oh wow.
But,
yeah.
He was like that, and it's funny. Also, I've realized that all of my sisters married men who are like our dad. All three of them did, and the only difference being that one of my brothers-in-law is very loud and outgoing, which is not what my dad was. He's the kind of person who believed until he met my family, he didn't think introverts existed. But my entire family is introverts.
That's funny because I am the extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
Like, out of the 5 people in our nuclear family, I am the extrovert.
Yeah.
Everyone else is varying degrees of introvert.
Mm-hmm.
My son-in-law, my guy is so introverted. I think I've heard him say like 12 words.
Yeah. Well, is the real reason because he's introverted, or is it because you're talking all the time?
Maybe. Maybe.
That's what I've discovered a lot with extroverts, is they talk a lot.
I have friends, especially, my coworker Katie, she is 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we are on the same creative team.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have a meeting that I called between us every Wednesday, 10:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And my girl, the game in the office is to try to get her to say more than 10 words in a sentence. And you can sit there and she'll like. But we work so well together because the thing is, she just lets me keep going and going and going and going. And finally, I'll get to my answer. And she's like, there. She's so good at it. She lets me do it, and I appreciate her so much. So every introvert needs an extrovert buddy, and every extrovert needs 10 introvert buddies. Because it might take all 10 of them to tell you to shut up.
If we can get a word in edgewise. No, legitimately, like, I want to be completely clear. I'm not throwing shade at you for any reason other than the fact that I throw shade at my brother-in-law. And it's entirely out of love, because, like, I appreciate people who can be that way. I just know that's not me. I do the best I can, but it's just like, I just can't. I can't do that. But,
I get it. I get it.
Well, going back to this parenting topic, what is the most surprising thing you have learned in being a parent?
That I think the most surprising thing to me, and a lot of parents miss this, your kids actually do listen to you. They listen to your tone, they listen to what you tell them, but they also listen to what you show them. And I found that a lot of times my kids will push back on me about things based on what I've taught them. I've taught them to ask questions. I've taught them to question things so that they know for themselves. You know, and then there's a lot of parents that will do that. Hey, make sure you understand. Don't let anybody, get one over on you, blah, blah, blah. And then the kids question them, and then they're back talking. No. That's as good. You ask them to ask questions. You ask them to be curious. You ask them to stand up for what they believe.
Yeah.
And when you say stand up for what you believe in, they might not believe what you believe. And you have to let them work through that. Because I remember when I was 21, 22, 14. Well, barely remember 14. But I remember those ages. And I remember I thought I knew everything too. Nobody could tell me anything.
Yeah.
And the most surprising thing I've had to learn is stop talking and let them learn.
Yeah.
You can give advice, especially if they ask for it. If they don't ask for it, my new thing, especially with my middle kid, is very logical, and it's: are you asking for advice or are you venting?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably been the biggest question or phrase that has helped us grow in our relationship over the past few months, even I would say even a year. It's, are you asking for advice, or all these questions that you're asking or situations that you're bringing to me, are they for venting purposes? And that has helped out a lot. Because extrovert and people pleaser guy, if you got a question, I got to find the answer. Let's find out.
Right. And also man.
Yeah. Also man and dad.
Yeah.
Those are all the things. Those are all the things.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I my kids are still really young, so I'm nowhere near that stage. I mean, they're starting to ask questions here and there, but it's nothing overly complicated because they're young kids. But still, that's a really good way to think about it and a good question to ask. And I'll have to keep that in mind when my kids are older and potentially, being rebellious because they're kids. So
yeah, that's what it is.
Very cool. Well, how would you compare raising girls to raising boys?
Oy. So, funny enough, my older two, there is a 9 to 10 year difference between my oldest and my youngest.
Mm-hmm.
So we learned a lot.
Right.
But one of the biggest things was when the girls are older, that's when you have a lot more of the rough spots. My boy in particular, when he was younger, that's when we had rough spots. It was the, oh my gosh, you're going to get hurt, But raising the girls, and this is, again, we're older, so there's a lot of traditional versus contemporary ways of raising that we did. But yeah, we ran into a lot more of, I think it was tougher as the girls were older and my son as he was younger. What's crazy is how at the ages they were, there was a time when it was all tough. Because it was like that. They were passing each other on that line, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, right here, this intersection.
Yeah. When the
that was
planet's align.
I was like, oh. It was rough. But I would say that one of the things that I found is that big break in between the kids, we had different insight, to how we're raising the baby, right? We have people that are asking why and questioning and having us rethink, well, that's a great question. It's just the way it's always been done. So do we have to do it that way? And there's some things that we were like, no, it does not. We're doing something different. And then other times where it was, yeah, this is what we're doing. So yeah.
Well, what is something you wish you had realized sooner in parenting?
How to listen. I suck at listening. I'm better than I was, but it's taken a long time to get there. I wish that I had learned to listen so much earlier. So much earlier. I think that my son is getting the benefits of that. I was learning to listen.
So of course, you have two girls who are older. One of which is off married, all that. How do you find time to game with the kids that are at home and being married and having a job?
Scheduling, and being okay with, nope, I don't want to do anything. Because they're at that age.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to go to a movie? No, I want to stay home. Hey, can we go to a movie? I really want to stay home myself. It's been a long day. We find things that we all enjoy. Mm-hmm. And that's hard. That's hard to do. The boy and I both enjoy playing video games. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's the same game, so we have to kind of switch that up. There are YouTube channels that we all enjoy. Mm-hmm. There are shows that we all enjoy, movie genres and series that we enjoy. And then sometimes we're doing things that only interest one person. Mm-hmm. Right? One person wants to play this board game. One person wants to do a D&D campaign. And I'm sorry, I do not have the patience for a really long, thought out D&D campaign. It's just not who I am. There was a Nancy Drew tabletop game. Mm-hmm. That I was prepared to sink 2 hours into this game. 7 hours later, we were almost done with it.
Oh my goodness.
I was so done. I was like mentally checked out. I'm like, you guys, I can barely make it through a movie sometimes. How do you want me to? But we did it because one of our family wanted to do it. They were really interested in doing it.
Yeah.
We learned that I should never do that again. But we did it. So I think that it's finding those times by planning, by asking. Mm-hmm. A lot of my friends are asking me, hey, did you finish through, are you all caught up to date on X-Men 97? No, I'm not, because I'm trying to watch it with my son, and we got a crazy schedule. So I am not going to watch it without him. We are doing I think we did episode 1 last week sometime. Maybe even over a week ago. But we're not going forward on it because we want to watch it together. We want to spend that time together.
That's good. What tips would you give to people who are struggling to find that balance, find time to play games with kids, wives, 9-to-5s?
For me, scheduling. And what that means is not necessarily put in, all right, at 1 o'clock I'm going to do this, at 2 o'clock I'm going to do this. I use a bullet journal. This is bullet journal number 6. I started this in 2020, end of 2021, early 2022, doing bullet journals. And how it works has changed throughout the process. I'm finding my process on how this works. But scheduling has been real important. The biggest thing that I did, I looked at how much time do I actually have? All right. So like in a week, you have 168 hours. We all have 168 hours in a week. For me, I have 112 waking hours in a week, approximately. I have 50 hours of work between my part-time job and my full-time job. 50 hours of that is gone to work. Around 10 of that is for streaming, just the streaming part of what I do for my personal community. So right there, I've got 60 hours of my 112 hours. So over half of my hours are gone. This bullet journal, what I've done in this bullet journal is I've marked down, this is how many hours I have for this. And then I break it down. What do I have to do this week? What's part of getting stuff done this week? And then I break that down into, okay, this is how many hours I have to get all this done. Well, looks like I'm not really going to be doing much on Fortnite this week. Right? Because I only have X amount of hours. Scheduling it, or at least calculating, maybe not even scheduling, but calculating how much time you have and how much time you're investing in what. I have mine color-coded. Again, I've said it before, ADHD. I have well, I don't know if they're going to be able to see this, but I have a large art collection of stuff. Markers, crayons, all that. And so even with where am I? Am I back in? That's crazy, Celeste. I can't even see myself anymore. Even with all of that, you guys, I have to do it this way. I have to color code.
Yeah.
So that I get stuff done. So that when I am looking at how much time do I have left for my family, how much time do I have left for my friends? Because growing up, my friends were my family. My brother went to college super early, and he pretty much stayed where he went to college. I didn't have a lot of, and I had my dad when I first moved to North Carolina. My dad was still working in New York as a firefighter. He hadn't retired yet. It was me and my mom and my friends. My friends were my family, so I make time for my friends as my family as well. Matter of fact, I got a couple of messages as we were talking. Hey, are we overwatching? That one student. Are we overwatching tonight? Yes, I got to finish this interview first. But yeah, we're going to be going on. I firmly believe that knowing how much time you have and putting an effort into finding what piece of those puzzles are priority is super important. So if you're struggling to find that time, that's good, because you know that you need to find that time. That's the first step, is knowing that you need that time. If there's a struggle, it doesn't mean that. It means that you're not okay with not spending that time. So organize that time. For a lot of us, we're pulled in a lot of different directions many times throughout the day. My wife and I are being more intentional about just. We heard about this 777 rule. Once every 7 days, you go out on a date. It doesn't have to be a big thing. My wife and I, we got pie. We went to Perkins. I don't know if you have Perkins where you are, but we went to Perkins, for those who knows what it is. This is a little family type restaurant, and had pie. And sat and talked about the week. And then every 7 weeks, you do like a 24-hour getaway. You know? as far as us, my wife and I.
Mhm.
And then every 7 months, you do a little bit more of an extended deal. And that helps that relationship. But that doesn't mean it has to stop there. Maybe it's every 7 days or once every 7 days, my son and I go somewhere. My son and I do something. Maybe it doesn't even have to be go out. Maybe we do something at home. Like, you know, my daughter and my wife don't come down here in the stream cave. Me and the boy could do some save the world, you know, in Fortnite. So I think that's a formula that will really work.
It's very good. Good advice. Well, since you have both daughters and a son,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to newer parents, especially in how to parent girls versus parenting boys and vice versa?
I would say my best advice is know your children.
Mm-hmm.
Know your kids. Invest time in the kids, because if you don't know your kids, reading whatever Dr. Johann Sebastian Lilo says is not, because they don't know your kid.
Yeah.
They know kids, but they don't know your kid.
Mm.
Invest in that. Invest in their interests. And their interests, yes, their interests are going to change every 5 minutes. Just because you would go all in on something doesn't mean you have to for your kid.
Mm-hmm.
Your kid has an interest in drums, don't buy them a $10,000 drum kit. Find out, get a drum pad. Like, spend what? I don't even know how much a drum pad is, but I have one over there because my son was interested in drums, as was I. He's not anymore. I still am, so I'm using it. But I would say just take the time to know your kids. Invest in them.
That's very good advice. I like that. I need to do that more myself, so I will be taking your advice. All right, so we're just about done for tonight, but we cannot leave without a dad joke. So give me your best dad joke or your worst.
Oh, no.
Whatever your perspective is on that.
Okay. I had one, and it's a science joke.
Go for it.
And I always mess it up though, as I don't know. So the science people are gonna tear me apart. So there was a microscopic murder, and the two cops were standing there, and one says, "Hey, I think the electron did it." He says, "You sure?" His partner says, "You sure?" He says, "Yeah, I'm positive." I think I messed it up. I something like that.
I can't remember how that works, but I understood the joke well enough. I'm like, that's great. I love it.
Yeah, like I don't dad joke. Like, I actually have an app. One of the things I do for the Quake ministry is it's the Quake Friday Funny, and I have an app for the dad jokes. Okay. So here's one from the app, and it's usually my delivery. Okay, so let me do this. What do you get when you cross a rabbit and a water hose? Hairspray. Hairspray.
I get it. I like your other joke a little better. But...
See, that's the app one.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah. I love these. Okay, hold on. I got one more. So I applied to be a doorman, but I didn't get the job due to lack of experience. That surprised me. I thought it was an entry-level position. So yeah, I love that one.
All right.
Ah,
All right. Well, Lem, it has been a pleasure interviewing you this evening. So,
well, thank you for having me.
before we completely close out for the night, where can people find you?
Oh, good Lord. If you go on Twitch and you say Bad Gamer Elite, you'll find me. All one word, Bad Gamer Elite. And matter of fact, most of my social media is Bad Gamer Elite, except for my work. And that's the one I need you to follow. That's what I need you to be involved with because I love my job and I want to keep my job. I tell people the fun part of my job is I get to play video games with students and make memes. Now, there's a lot that goes into that, but boil it down. But that one is God Games Geekery everywhere, except for Twitch, which is God Games and Geekery. You have to spell that out.
Okay.
But if you look up God Games and Geekery podcast, I think we're the only one that you'll find.
Very good. I mean, I do need to look that up. So, sounds good. All right. Any final thoughts?
There is a song that has influenced my life. And I always get it mixed up. It's a Toby Mac song. I always get it mixed up. But there's a line. I don't think it's The Goodness. It could be The Goodness. But there's a line that says, always or leave people better than you found them. And that has been my mantra since I heard that song, since I heard that Toby's new album. It's been leave people better than you found them. And I hope that through some of this, that your listeners, your viewers feel like we are leaving them better than we found them.
Well, it's very much appreciated. Yeah. I don't really have anything else to add to that. So, until next time, I am the Frozen Gamer 87. That is Bad Gamer Elite.
Whoop, whoop.
This has been Dads in Gaming, Episode 8. And in honor of the late and the great Gabe Patillo, we're about this thing! Peace!